Well, the Eagles just got some huge updates that could reveal the answers to some of their biggest offseason questions, as not only does a recent report suggest that a decision on A.J. Brown's future is coming much sooner rather than later, but the most recent noise from the NFL Combine makes it seem like A.J. staying in Philly is the most likely outcome. Plus, one reporter, in Mike Garafolo, just dropped some major hints regarding the futures of the Birds' top 4 free agents, and while some sound promising, the one on Nakobe Dean is anything but that. But on the bright side, Jalen Carter seems to finally be getting close to fully healthy, so let's talk about all that starting right now. It's been a busy week for Howie Roseman, Nick Sirianni, and the rest of the Eagles coaches, scouts, and front office at the NFL Combine, but amidst all that noise, the Eagles players just sent a clear message that gives us some insight into what exactly went down last season. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, the annual NFLPA votes are officially in, where the Eagles players were asked to grade the organization on a number of different metrics, including things like the coaches, the front office, the locker room, and travel, and the results for the Eagles are pretty telling. As going down the list, you can see that Philly's players graded treatment of families a C+, home game field an A, food and dining an A, nutritionist/dietitian B+, locker room a D, training room a B-, training staff an A, weight room an A-, strength coaches an A-, position coaches an A-, offensive coordinator a C+, defensive coordinator an A+, special teams coordinator an A, team travel an F, head coach an A, general manager a B, and team ownership a B. So obviously, that's a lot to go through. Initial takeaways, as has been the case the past couple years, is that 1, the Birds desperately need to upgrade their locker room and travel situations, but I think the bigger storyline are that 1, the players gave Nick Sirianni an A, which is actually a higher grade than they gave Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie. So, say what you want about Sirianni, the criticism is warranted at times, and yes, it seems like he's going to be under pressure this upcoming season, but you can't say that he isn't very well liked by the players. I mean, they have consistently backed him, come to his defense, and shown love for their head coach. So clearly he's doing something right there, but I think easily the biggest takeaway is that every single group of coaches or trainers were given an A or higher, besides Kevin Patullo, who received a C+. So yeah, message received loud and clear from the players there. They were not happy with KP last season. And you can't blame them, because again, the offense and play calling were just embarrassing at times. So it's a relief to have him out of here, and looking forward to the Eagles having an actual real offense in 2026. And also, when you look at the whole situation with A.J. Brown, I think this is just more evidence, in my opinion, that he's more than likely going to be back. I mean, based on the survey, it's very clear that most of the offensive players were frustrated with Kevin Patullo. It's just that A.J.'s really the only one that voiced those frustrations out loud, or at least his complaints were the most prominent. But that's why now that KP's gone and we got Sean Mannion in here, I really do think there's a solid chance that AJ's frustrations have quieted down. I mean, heck, he literally just said on a podcast with Micah Parsons that he's excited about the new offense and was talking like he was going to be back. But you know that's not going to stop the noise. And now that the NFL Combine is here, you know that, there's been a ton of rumors, ton of reports just coming from all these different sources, and it's really hard to know what exactly is true. Oh, by the way, trust me guys, I am sick of talking about this too, but Jeff McLane just dropped an article for the Inquirer that gave us a ton of new details that are pretty important if true, saying that the Eagles are assessing AJ's trade market, but for them to actually trade him, they're going to need to get back significant draft compensation, otherwise they'll just keep him. And actually, in the article, it says that an NFL executive told the Inquirer that the Birds were looking for a first and second round pick in any AJ trade, which, if you'll remember, that's actually more than they paid for him when he was just 24 years old. So now he's 28, so getting that back in return is not going to be easy. Now, it also says that the Eagles could maybe settle for a second-round pick if they do trade him, but again, it's clear that they don't want to do that. And also, in the article, it says the Eagles will likely make a decision on Brown before the start of the legal tampering period on March 9th, which that's good news in the sense that this noise likely won't drag on for too much longer, hopefully, fingers crossed. And also, we have to remember that any AJ trade before June 1st means that the Eagles would be eating over $40 million in dead cap, which I will continue to say that I highly doubt that Howie and the Eagles would do that. So a trade, say, before March 9th, like the article is suggesting, I just don't see it happening. So again, really hard to know what to believe. And then you also have Peter Schrager saying on ESPN that the Eagles' tone has changed on a potential A.J. Brown trade since the trade deadline, which that's probably true. Again, it seems that they'll at least listen to offers. But he also noted that there's a huge financial barrier, which of course I just talked about. And also, when the Birds hired new offensive coordinator Sean Mannion, they envisioned A.J. being a part of this new offense, saying, quote, Sean Mannion showed them cut-ups of how his offense, which is play-action heavy, would work with the personnel they have, including A.J. Brown. Plus, Schrager also referenced Howie Roseman's comments from the Combine, which have continued to be that they are trying to add great players, not subtract them. And AJ is a great player.
We're in the business of keeping great players, and AJ is a great player. AJ is a difference-making player for our team. He's been on our team 4 years. We've been to the playoffs all 4 of those years, won a Super Bowl, been in 2 Super Bowls, and he's a captain on our team. You're not looking to get rid of players like that. You know, for us, the disappointment in the season was not progressing past the first round of the playoffs. So we're looking to build on that and go forward. And so that's adding on. At the same time, you know, there's nobody. Our job as GMs, we got to listen, you know, on anyone. And that doesn't have anything to do with AJ. If anyone calls me and says, hey, I want to talk to you about a player, for me just to say unequivocally, I'm not taking your call, that doesn't make sense because I don't know what they're going to say on the other end. Now, the chances that I'm doing that with a great player, they're not very high.
So there, you have Howie flat out saying, quote, it is not very likely that they trade a great player like AJ. I mean, I know there's been a ton of noise from a bunch of different sources, but just digging through all of it and looking at the facts and just what seems logical, in my opinion, it seems much more likely AJ stays rather than goes. And NFL insider Mike Garafolo seems to agree with that, as he joined Anthony Gargano's show on PHLY Sports on Friday, where he dropped a whole bunch of insight on the Eagles and the current situation with their top free agents, among other things. And in that interview, he too echoed that same message that it's more likely that the Eagles keep AJ rather than let him go.
I don't know that he's gone, and I asked. I lean more toward him coming back right now. I do.
Wow.
I'm not.
That's great.
I'm trying to remember what I answered last time. I think I told you.
Well, it's just such a long week. I'm so tired of the freaking story. But like, you know, listen,
it's kind of an important story, though.
What's that?
It's kind of an important story, though. So it's like it is. You know, they're going to have to be blown away. That's the way I'll phrase it. Somebody's going to have to come strong to make it happen. And it's not just me, like, because a lot of times if you see that, it's like, oh, what's the team telling him? They want him to set the price, you know, put that out there and let teams know. Nobody's that hasn't come from them, but it's come from the whole circle. His agent's here. I haven't talked to him extensively, but I told him that I got the sense that I feel like he might come back. He didn't tell me I was wrong. He didn't tell me I was right, but it's kind of where I am right now.
I really do think A.J. Brown's going to be back next year. Like, the only way I see them trading him is if it's an offer that they can't pass up. It's after June 1st. And also, if A.J. really wants no part of being in Philadelphia anymore, which, again, I just don't get that sense. So, you know, we'll see, I guess. And trust me, guys, I am very sick of talking about this, too. I mean, I know you guys are sick of it, but hopefully it's all resolved by that March 9th date. And we'll see what happens, you know, but that's where things currently stand. But that's not the only update that Garafolo gave us on the Eagles, as he also addressed their upcoming free agency, and specifically their top 4 free agents in Jaelan Phillips, Nakobe Dean, Reed Blankenship, and Dallas Goedert. So let's start with Goedert, because we got an update not too long ago from Jeff McLane that the tight end is likely to leave Philadelphia in free agency, but Garafolo's update was a little more positive and optimistic.
Is there going to be a market for Goedert?
I think he's back. There'll be a market. Yeah, there'll be a market. I mean, I think he could be back in Philly, no doubt. Hang on a second. But I mean, there's work to be done. I'm not saying it's imminent by any stretch.
I mean, because it felt like, or you know, again, that he's going to get something elsewhere. So they need. You're going to run that offense. You need tight ends, and they now they have none on.
No,
I think
but I was saying I'm not closing the door on him returning at all. It's not like they've got this stable of tight ends or whatever. So I think they talked here. They're going to continue to talk over the next week or so, and there's going to be interest elsewhere in him on this tight end market, which is not. I mean, Pitt's got franchise is a different type of deal, but it's not the strongest of the free agent classes. So there'll be interest, but. You know, I know he likes it there, and I know that was a big factor beforehand too, as well.
So yeah, I mean, it's still very up in the air, but it seems there's a lot more room for Goedert to return than I thought after Jeff McLane's update. Now, who knows what exactly is true, but the bottom line is, from what we've heard, the Eagles want Goedert back, he wants to be back, and a reunion just flat out makes sense for both sides given the familiarity, Goedert's history here, and the reliance this new offense has on tight ends. I mean, it's just going to be about the price at the end of the day. So we'll see if they can get a deal done in the coming weeks, maybe before free agency starts, fingers crossed, but definitely a situation that still could go either way. And there is some reason for optimism. And the outlook seems to be pretty similar for Reed Blankenship, who's probably the one guy out of these top four that we've heard the least about so far this offseason, but Garafolo provided an update here, and it's very similar to the situation with Goedert.
Do you think Reed Blankenship is back?
I don't know.
Yes. No, I don't.
I don't know. I mean, I lean yes, but I don't know. I'm gonna go with yes at this point. They've got to come up. They've got to have, more substantive talks. See you, Russ. They've got to have more substantive talks than they've had to this point. But yeah, I can see him back. It would make sense. I mean, you can't break up the podcast, right?
No.
I think, again, similarly to with Goedert, Blankenship likely wants to be back. The Eagles likely want him back and value him, given that he's kind of become the vocal leader of the secondary at this point. He's also been there the longest. He was a captain last year. And yes, as a player, he is flawed, but overall, he's a good player. No doubt about that. He's a quality starter in this league, and he's also not going to break the bank. So he's a little more reasonable for the Birds to bring back. But like with Goedert, it's just going to come down to what other teams can offer him and how that stacks up with what the Eagles can offer. So we'll see what happens, but don't rule out a Reed Blankenship return to Philadelphia. And then that brings us to the Birds' number one free agent, Jaelan Phillips, who we've heard over this past week that he is the Birds' top free agent priority at this point, but he's also going to be the most expensive. And Garafolo says that the Eagles will make a push to re-sign him, but like with the other previous two, it's unknown whether a deal will actually get done or not.
I've heard some big numbers on Jaelan Phillips, which now, like some of this stuff, like the numbers that are coming out, because nobody's talking numbers. Like there's not a lot of substantive meetings here because you've got a week now between the combine and free agency. Used to be deals were getting done. Now agents are like, they're asking us for numbers. I'm not telling them numbers because that doesn't do me any good. And they're not giving me anything. So it's more of a feeling out type thing. But I have heard when you start to talk to people about the range of Jaelan Phillips, it's like young pass rusher, a lot of money. Now, I do know that the Eagles have budgeted a lot of money for the pass rusher position, whether it's going to be him or somebody else. So I know they're going to try and they're going to have those conversations with him, try to get it done. But if he thinks he's got a big payday elsewhere, it may not work out.
No doubt Phillips is going to get paid big money wherever he goes, and it's going to be tough for the Eagles to match what some of these other teams will end up offering him, but apparently they've budgeted big money themselves for a pass rusher. We know they value that edge rusher position highly, and they really do like Phillips and his fit in Vic Fangio's defense, so they're going to try to bring him back, which, if you rewind to last year, that's actually different than what they were saying about Josh Sweat and Milton Williams, because we knew that they were going to get paid big money by another team, and the Birds just didn't really seem to have much interest in matching that. Here with Phillips, though, it seems to be a little different, so we'll see how that goes. But that's now 3 of the top 4 free agents that it seems like the Birds are at least interested in bringing back. But then that leaves Nakobe Dean, and unlike these other guys, it seems like he's as good as gone at this point. And to make matters worse, it also seems like the Dallas Cowboys are a very realistic landing spot for him.
What about Nakobe to the Cowboys? Like with Christian Parker there, he loves Nakobe. I mean, I could see that as a really good fit, unfortunately.
I could see that, and I am. You asked me about Goedert. I am 100% convinced that Nakobe Dean is hitting the market and is headed elsewhere. That is my stance and belief as of right now, and I don't see anything that's going to change that. So, yeah, there'll be a familiarity factor to this with wherever he winds up, and that'll be. Ask me to make a short list. They'll be on it.
This isn't a surprise by any means. I mean, the Birds have Jahad Campbell waiting in the wings, and you can't pay everybody. So I have continued to say all offseason that unfortunately, I think Nakobe is probably going to leave, but still this is tough to hear for a number of reasons. I mean, obviously, first off, I love Nakobe and think he's a great player. I love the way that he plays, the toughness and the physicality. Like, I love that about his game, and I also think his leadership is very valuable to the Eagles defense as well. So losing him is definitely going to be a tough pill to swallow, but losing him to the Cowboys, now that's just cruel. I mean, I don't got to explain why, but him going to the Birds' biggest rival would just be a disaster and really tough to see. Now, nothing's guaranteed, and my hope is that Dallas doesn't end up with him, but like with everything else, we will see what happens. All in all, though, I expect the Eagles to be able to bring back one or maybe two of these guys, but I'm curious to know your guys' thoughts and who you think out of these top four that the Birds are most likely to bring back. Moving on, though, we just got an absolutely amazing update on Jalen Carter. As you know how last year Carter had a down season because he was dealing with injuries to both of his shoulders? Well, now, over a month into the offseason, it seems like he's had some time to recover, and he's working his way back to being fully healthy. As he just posted this video of himself doing a shoulder workout to Instagram, which obvious to say, that's amazing to see, because we know that when Jalen Carter is fully healthy, he is the best player on this entire defense. And I still think he has the potential to one day win a Defensive Player of the Year award. So nice to see him working his way back to full health. Obviously, we won't truly know until the season starts, but definitely a good sign for JC. And also, it's worth noting that showing that he's healthy at this current point in the offseason is maybe a little bit of leverage for him in any potential contract extension talks with Howie Roseman and the Eagles. And actually, in regards to that, the official NFL salary cap was just revealed, and it's going to be about $301 million for each team, which is an increase of $22 million from the season prior, but it's also $2 million less than what many sites were projecting all offseason. But we also know how much cap space the Eagles are officially going to have, and it's just $13.7 million, which that's significantly lower than many sites were projecting, which was around $20 million. So, the Eagles can do things to increase that, but yeah, they're not going to have very much space to work with in free agency, which affects the status of all those free agents that I just talked about. So that's definitely huge news as well. But all that said, we still got to get into free agency, and things are going to be unpredictable. Things are going to get wild. So if you guys don't want to miss any of the coverage I got coming on this channel, make sure you subscribe and you turn on notifications, and also drop a like down below to show some support, because it really does help me out a ton, guys. Let's see if we can get to at least 500 likes today, and also hit the hype button, because that really does help me out a ton as well, and leave a comment just regarding anything that I talked about in this video. Again, out of those top four free agents, who do you think is most likely to return? What do you think of the whole A.J. Brown situation? I know we're all sick of it. You don't, whatever. Do what you want in the comments, but just say something. And also, if you do want to watch another Eagles video, you can check this out right here. And with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.